Good afternoon, dear colleagues. My name is Bato Dondukov. I am a senior researcher at East-Siberia State University of Technology and Management. In my presentation, I analyzed the social flock of sheep project of the Buryat Buddhist Sangha, which is aimed at revival of nomadic cattle breeding in the Republic of Buryatia, Russia. The Republic of Buryatia is located in the southeastern part of Russia and covers an area of 350,000 square kilometers. The population of the Republic is about 1 million people and mainly consists of Russians and Buryats. The region borders with Mongolia in the south and is also very close to the Russian-Chinese border. As for the economic region of the Republic of Buryatia, over the course of the last century, the local employment of people switched from nomadic cattle breeding to the Soviet activities and later capitalist economy. These transformations have led to the situation where private cattle breeding is no more a profitable and attractive type of activity for the people. Instead, destructive activities related to intensive use of natural resources such as mining and logging came to the forefront. These transformations negatively affect the environmental situation, therefore an attempt to revive nomadic cattle breeding in Buryatia is of ecological interest. Several factors influenced the cattle breeding decline. First of all, massive collectivization of property of the Buryats, including livestock. Secondly, the USSR recognized the Buryat cattle as economically inefficient, replacing them with other species which could produce more wool and meat. However, the effectiveness of fine wool sheep breeding was first of all due to high state purchase price on merino wool. With the transition to market economy and absence of state order for wool and raw materials, fine wool production decreased up to 50% and below, which led to a sharp reduction in the number of sheep in industry. Sheep breeding turned out to be the least protected sphere of agriculture in the new conditions of market transformation in Russia. From 1988 to 2016, the number of sheep in the Republic decreased from the 1,600,000 to 282,000 heads. After the collapse of the USSR, a return to private cattle breeding in Buryatia came up to the difficulties due to the loss of Buryat types of cattle which were adapted to the climatic and environmental conditions of Siberia. Crossbreeding of native and stud breeds led to almost total extinction of certain aboriginal breeds. The maintenance of livestock during long winter period required a lot of effort and financial cost because it was necessary to have winter stalls and put in storage large quantities of hay. Thus, private cattle breeding turned into economically inefficient and unattractive. In addition, over the past centuries, the traditions of cattle breeding have been lost. The majority of and the majority of modern Buryats were not able to run a cattle farm. One of the ways to develop sheep breeding is reintroduction of aboriginal Buryat coarse-wool sheep breeds brought from Mongolia and China. The imported sheep retained their inherent productive characteristics and ecological plasticity. As a result of breeding and selection work over 20 years, a new breed of coarse-wool sheep named Bubei was approved in 2007. The aboriginal Buryat sheep was widespread on the territories where the Buryats lived. These sheep were classic pasture animals of a sound constitution, mobile, with a well-developed material instinct, able to independently find food and on the pasture all year round, feed quickly and accumulate fat in large quantities, which would feed their bodies during long and cold winters. The economic attractiveness of nomadic cattle breeding in Buryatia should awaken destructive types of industries such as deforestation, which is the most profitable activity for the rural population today. High profitability due to the large demand both domestic and foreign. On domestic market, the wood is one of the most affordable materials for private house construction, as well as cheapest type of heating for private houses. While in many countries houses made of wood refer to luxuriousness, in Buryatia the majority of private houses are built entirely of wood because of its cheapness. What's more, high electricity rates and lack of natural gas heating infrastructure make firewood the most low-cost option for heating. Thus, wood is always in high demand in Buryatia. In 2009, Hambolama Dambayushev, the head of the Buryat Buddhist Sangha, began to develop the social flock project. The idea of this initiative is to donate for free flocks of 300 or more sheep of the Buryat breed Bubay to individual farmers for subsequent breeding. After successful growth within several years, the project participant must give part of the flock to another person who wants to go in for cattle breeding in the village. Revival of the Buryat breeds adapted to local climatic conditions can help to solve the problems of economic feasibility of cattle breeding. The adaptivity of Bubay sheep lies in tolerance to prolonged cold weather as well as their ability to dig grass from under the snow for consumption, which minimize the cost for haymaking. Buryat native sheep do not need specific winter buildings or stalls. In winter they can live under fenced roofs or a simple place sheltered from the wind. In 2012, Hambolama had an appointment with President of Russia, Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin. The President supported these initiatives and financed the project for 70 million rubles, it's about $2 million. And the first 10,000 Buryat ewes were purchased from different regions and first flocks started to be distributed. As of 2019, almost 20,000 sheep were given by the Buryat Buddhist Sangha during this period. Every year the number of sheep for further sharing is growing. In 2020, the total number of sheep handed out will reach 25,000. In other words, the project shows positive dynamics. Nowadays, in addition to distributing sheep and in order to use more efficiently the cattle, Buddhist Sangha is building a manufacturer for processing wool and hides. The President of Russia, Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin, financed Sangha with additional 30 million rubles for this purpose. What's more, the Buddhist Sangha is preparing a project of social herd when Buryat breeds of cows will be distributed on the same principle. The launch of the project is scheduled for the nearest future. In such a way, it can be said that the Buddhist Sangha in Buryatia has a high influence in society and practically stands at the head of the revival of the Buryat culture. It is important that the project is not being carried out by the Ministry of the Agriculture but the Buddhist Sangha, since in addition to its economic attractiveness, the Sangha promotes the idea of romance of reviving traditions, including the image of a successful Buryat. Considering that farming in modern Russia can hardly be called a prestigious niche, the ideological contribution of the Buddhist Sangha is of great value. Social flock project of the Buddhist traditional Sangha of Russia transforms the rural areas of the republic. One can witness cases when families return from Ulan-Ude, the capital, to their native villages in order to develop a social flock. Around their farms, a social infrastructure is being formed, in which, depending on the size of the flock, from 10 to 30 people are involved. The involvement of the population in the logging and mining industries is decreasing. Thank you for your attention.